The Human Relic Hunter, a HFY Reddit story, Chapter 9. The engines of the Odyssey hummed softly as Elias reclined in his seat, staring at the sphere. Its glow was subdued now, as if conserving energy for the trials ahead. Next to it lay the void core, radiating a faint, unsettling light. Together, the two relics felt like pieces of a puzzle too vast for him to comprehend. "So, where are we going this time?" Elias asked. The sphere answered by projecting a holographic map, pinpointing a location deep in the Andor expanse, a region of space infamous for its navigational hazards and uncharted phenomena. "The Andor expanse?" Lyra said, materializing on the console. "That's a death trap, magnetic storms, rogue planetoids, and gravity wells. Even the most advanced ships avoid it." "Good thing I'm not most ships," Elias said with a grin, initiating the jump. Lyra groaned. "One of these days, your confidence is going to get us killed." "Not today," Elias replied, as the ship lurched into hyperspace. The Andor expanse lived up to its reputation. As the Odyssey emerged from hyperspace, Elias was greeted by a chaotic scene. Violent storms of glowing plasma surged across the void, while jagged shards of rock and ice drifted dangerously close. The ship's shields flickered under the strain. "Shields holding at 78%, Lyra reported, "but this is pushing our limits." "Let's not stick around longer than we have to," Elias said, navigating carefully through the debris field. The sphere pulsed, guiding him toward a dense cluster of storms. As he approached, the storms seemed to part, revealing a massive asteroid at their center. It was covered in strange, glowing glyphs that shimmered with an unearthly light. "That's not natural," Lyra said. "No kidding," Elias muttered. "Looks like the sphere found its next prize." Elias landed the ship on a flat surface of the asteroid. The airlock hissed open, and he stepped out into the surreal landscape. The glyphs on the ground glowed faintly, casting shifting shadows across the jagged terrain. "This place feels alive," Elias said, his voice echoing in the thin atmosphere. "The glyphs are emitting a low-frequency hum," Lyra said. "It's similar to the Erendron ruins, but there's something older about it." The sphere pulsed in his hand, urging him forward. Elias followed its guidance to a massive archway carved into the asteroid's surface. Beyond it lay a cavern illuminated by cascading streams of light. At the center of the cavern was a pedestal, and atop it rested a strange artifact, a crystalline cube with swirling patterns inside. "That's it," Lyra said. "The energy readings are incredible." Elias approached the artifact, but as he reached out to touch it, the cavern trembled. The glyphs on the walls lit up, and a deep, guttural growl echoed through the chamber. "Elias," Lyra said urgently, "we've got company." The ground beneath him shifted, and a massive creature emerged from the shadows. Its form was a swirling mass of black and purple energy, vaguely humanoid but constantly shifting. Its eyes glowed with malevolent intelligence. "What the hell is that?" Elias shouted, drawing his plasma cutter. Lyra scanned the creature. "It's an energy-based life form, tied to the void core's resonance. Be careful, standard weapons might not work on it." The creature lunged at Elias, its massive arm crashing into the ground where he had stood moments before. Elias rolled to the side and fired, the plasma bolts dissipating harmlessly against the creature's form. "Great," he muttered. "Any bright ideas?" "The sphere," Lyra said. "It's reacting to the artifact. Use it." Elias grabbed the sphere, its glow intensifying as it synced with the crystalline cube. A surge of energy erupted from the sphere, forming a shield around him. The creature roared in frustration, its attacks deflected by the barrier. Elias focused, willing the sphere to channel the artifact's power. A beam of light shot from the sphere, striking the creature. It howled in agony, its form flickering and dissolving into the air. The cavern fell silent. Elias picked up the crystalline cube, its surface cool and smooth to the touch. The sphere pulsed in his hand, as if approving of his success. "Another piece of the puzzle," Elias said, tucking the artifact into his pack. Lyra's hologram appeared, her expression a mix of relief and concern. "You're collecting more power than I'm comfortable with, Elias. What if you're drawing attention?" "I already am," Elias said. "The Void Walkers are out there, and they know what I'm doing. But if this stuff is the key to stopping them, I'm not backing down." Lyra sighed. "Just promise me you won't get cocky." Elias grinned. "Who, me? As he climbed back aboard the Odyssey, the sphere projected a new set of coordinates. This time, the location was unmistakable, a star system at the edge of known space, marked in ancient Erindran scripts as Sanctum Prime. Sanctum Prime, Lyra said, reading the translation, the heart of the abyss. That doesn't sound ominous at all. Elias smirked, sounds like my kind of place. The engines roared to life, and the Odyssey set course for its next adventure. To be continued. The Human Relic Hunter, a HFY Reddit story, Chapter 10. The journey to Sanctum Prime was fraught with tension. The sphere's glow had intensified since leaving the Andor expanse, casting shifting patterns of light across the Odyssey's cockpit. Elias could feel its energy resonating with the void core and the crystalline artifact he had just retrieved. Together, they seemed to be preparing for something monumental. Sanctum Prime, Lyra said, studying the data projected by the sphere. It's not on any modern star charts, but these Erindran markings describe it as a Nexus, a place where their most advanced technologies were developed. Elias adjusted the ship's trajectory, his gaze fixed on the swirling expanse of hyperspace. Sounds like exactly the kind of place the Voidwalkers would want to get their hands on. Assuming they haven't already, Lyra replied grimly. Elias tightened his grip on the controls. Then let's make sure we get there first. Dropping out of hyperspace, the Odyssey entered a system shrouded in a dense, golden nebula. The light of a distant star bathed the swirling clouds in a warm glow, giving the space an otherworldly beauty. At the heart of the nebula was a massive structure, a sprawling, ring-shaped station orbiting a small, blue-green planet. The station was colossal, its surface etched with glowing runes that pulsed in rhythmic patterns. That's Sanctum Prime, Lyra said, awe in her voice. The readings are overwhelming. This place is alive in ways I can't even describe. Elias smirked. Good thing I'm here to poke it with a stick. Or blow it up, Lyra muttered. The sphere pulsed, guiding him toward a docking bay on the ring. As the Odyssey approached, the station responded, its gates opening with a smooth, deliberate motion. Friendly welcome, Elias noted. Or a trap, Lyra countered. Elias grinned. Only one way to find out. The station's interior was pristine, its walls a seamless blend of metal and light. The air was heavy with the hum of ancient energy, and the glyphs lining the corridors glowed brighter as Elias moved forward. This place has been dormant for centuries, maybe millennia, Lyra said. But it's waking up for you. Elias held the sphere tightly, its glow guiding him through the maze of corridors. Let's hope it stays friendly. He reached a massive chamber at the station's core. At its center was a crystalline structure resembling a throne, surrounded by floating shards of light and energy. The sphere pulsed, urging Elias to approach. As he stepped closer, a holographic figure materialized above the throne. It was an Erindran, regal and commanding, with glowing eyes that seemed to pierce through Elias. Bearer of the sphere, the figure said, its voice echoing through the chamber. You stand at the heart of our legacy. Do you seek to preserve, or to wield? Elias hesitated. To preserve, he said. But if I have to wield it to protect what's left, I will. The hologram studied him for a moment before nodding. A noble sentiment, but the abyss does not test the noble, it tests the strong. The room trembled, and the shards surrounding the throne began to coalesce, forming into a towering, humanoid figure of pure energy. Its eyes glowed with a harsh, unyielding light. Of course, Elias muttered, drawing his plasma cutter. Another test. The battle was unlike anything Elias had faced before. The energy construct moved with terrifying speed, its strikes shaking the chamber with each impact. Elias dodged and weaved, firing his plasma cutter to little effect. The sphere, Lyra shouted. Use it to amplify the artifact. Elias reached for the crystalline cube, its surface glowing brightly in his hands. The sphere resonated with it, forming a beam of energy that struck the construct, halting its advance. The construct roared, retaliating with a blast of energy that sent Elias flying. Gritting his teeth, he stood and focused, channeling the power of both the sphere and the void core. The resulting surge of energy enveloped the construct, breaking it apart piece by piece until it dissolved into nothingness. The chamber fell silent, and the hologram reappeared. You have passed the trial, it said. But the abyss stirs. You must prepare for what is to come. The crystalline throne opened, revealing a small, intricately designed device, a control node, brimming with Erendran technology. This is it, Lyra said. This could give us access to the Erendran network, maybe even allow us to shut down Voidwalker incursions. Elias took the device, his expression grim. Then we'd better make good use of it. As the Odyssey departed Sanctum Prime, Elias sat in the cockpit, staring at the control node. This thing feels like a game changer, he said. But it also feels like a target. Lyra's hologram appeared, her expression serious. The Voidwalkers will sense its activation. They'll come for it, and for you. Elias smirked. Let them. If this is the key to stopping them, I'm not backing down. The sphere pulsed, projecting a new set of coordinates, this time, into the heart of Voidwalker territory. Elias leaned back, his grin fading into determination. Looks like it's time to take the fight to them. The engines roared, and the Odyssey vanished into the depths of space. To be continued. The Human Relic Hunter, a HFY Reddit story, Chapter 11. The Voidwalkers' territory was a vast, chaotic region known as the Shattered Veil. Once a thriving sector of space, it was now a graveyard of derelict ships and crumbling stations, swallowed by the encroaching darkness of the abyss. As the Odyssey entered the Veil, Elias could feel the oppressive weight of the place pressing against him. This place feels wrong, Elias muttered, gripping the controls tightly. Lyra's hologram appeared, her expression troubled. Sensors are picking up spatial distortions everywhere. Time and space don't behave normally here. Great, Elias said, just what I needed, reality itself turning against me. The sphere pulsed in his hand, its light cutting through the unnatural gloom of the veil. It projected a series of markers on the navigation display, guiding Elias toward a massive structure hidden within the swirling darkness. There it is, Lyra said, her voice low. That must be the Voidwalker Nexus. The Nexus was a monstrous construct, its surface a chaotic blend of jagged metal and pulsating energy. Tendrils of dark energy extended from it, anchoring the structure to the surrounding debris. Looks welcoming, Elias said, steering the ship toward a docking port. Elias, Lyra warned, this is Voidwalker Central, they'll know we're here the moment we dock. Elias smirked, then we'd better make this quick. The interior of the Nexus was as unsettling as its exterior. The walls pulsed with an organic rhythm, and the air was thick with an oppressive energy. This place feels alive, Elias said, his voice echoing in the cavernous corridors. It might be, Lyra replied, the Voidwalkers have a way of twisting everything they touch, even machinery. The sphere pulsed, guiding Elias deeper into the structure. Along the way, he encountered signs of Voidwalker activity, twisted machinery, shadowy figures moving in the distance, and whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. This is a bad idea, Lyra said. Probably, Elias replied, gripping his plasma cutter tightly. Finally, he reached the central chamber. At its heart was a massive core of swirling energy, tethered to the Nexus by thick tendrils of dark energy. Surrounding it were several Voidwalkers, their forms shifting and writhing as they worked to stabilize the core. They're using the core to expand the abyss, Lyra said. If we destroy it, we might be able to halt their advance, at least for now. Elias nodded, his expression grim. Let's do it. The Voidwalkers noticed Elias the moment he entered the chamber. They turned toward him, their glowing eyes filled with malice. Human, one of them hissed, its voice like nails on a chalkboard. You dare trespass here? I do more than dare, Elias said, raising the sphere. The Voidwalkers surged toward him, their forms dissolving into shadows that moved faster than the eye could follow. Elias fired his plasma cutter, the bolts of energy barely slowing them down. Elias, use the sphere, Lyra shouted. Elias focused, channeling the energy of the sphere into the void core and the crystalline artifact. A surge of light erupted from his hands, forcing the Voidwalkers back. The core at the center of the chamber began to tremble, its tendrils writhing violently. You cannot stop the abyss, one of the Voidwalkers snarled, it will consume all. Not today, Elias said, channeling another surge of energy into the core. The core exploded in a blinding flash of light, the shockwave tearing through the chamber. The Void Walkers dissolved into shadows, their forms unable to withstand the burst of energy. As the Nexus began to collapse, Elias sprinted back toward the Odyssey. The sphere pulsed frantically in his hand, guiding him through the crumbling corridors. "Elias, move faster," Lyra shouted. "I'm trying," he yelled, dodging a falling beam. He reached the ship just as the docking bay began to collapse, the airlock hissed shut, and the Odyssey roared to life, blasting away from the Nexus as it imploded. The explosion sent shockwaves through the shattered veil, tearing apart the debris and dissipating the darkness. "Did we do it?" Elias asked, slumping into his seat. "For now," Lyra replied, "but this is just one Nexus, there could be others." Elias nodded, staring at the sphere. "Then we'll find them, every last one." As the Odyssey disappeared into hyperspace, the sphere projected a new set of coordinates, this time, to a distant galaxy. Elias smirked. "Looks like the hunt's not over yet." To be continued. The Human Relic Hunter, a HFY Reddit story, Chapter 12. The swirling lights of hyperspace cast an eerie glow across the Odyssey's cockpit. Elias leaned back in his chair, his gaze fixed on the sphere. It had been glowing steadily since their departure from the shattered veil, the new coordinates it provided leading to an uncharted region of space. "This isn't like the others," Lyra said, her hologram flickering with unease. "The energy readings from this destination are unprecedented. It's as if the sphere is calling out to something ancient, something dormant." Elias frowned. "You're making it sound like I'm waking up a sleeping giant." "Maybe you are," Lyra replied. The coordinates led to a system shrouded in darkness. The star at its center had long since burned out, leaving the planets bathed in perpetual twilight. At the heart of the system was a massive structure, an enormous sphere-shaped construct floating silently in the void. Its surface was smooth and featureless, save for faint, glowing patterns that seemed to shift when observed. "That's it," Lyra said, her voice a mix of awe and fear. "The sphere is resonating with it." Elias adjusted the ship's trajectory, steering toward a small opening in the construct. "Let's see what secrets this thing is hiding." Inside, the construct was unlike anything Elias had ever seen. The walls were a seamless blend of metal and light, and the air buzzed with a faint hum that resonated deep in his chest. The sphere pulsed brightly, guiding him through the labyrinthine corridors. "This place feels alive," Elias said, his voice echoing. Lyra's scans confirmed his suspicion. The structure is organic on a molecular level, integrated with advanced technology. It's like the entire construct is one massive organism. The sphere guided Elias to a central chamber. At its center was a pedestal, and on it rested an artifact unlike any he had encountered before, a translucent orb filled with swirling, multicolored light. "That's it," Lyra whispered. "The energy readings are off the charts. Whatever this is, it's powerful enough to rival the sphere itself." Elias reached out to touch the orb, but as his fingers brushed its surface, the entire construct trembled. The walls lit up with intricate patterns, and a deep, resonant voice echoed through the chamber. "Bearer of the sphere, you have come seeking the heart of eternity, but with great power comes great consequence." Elias stepped back, his hand hovering near his plasma cutter. "Who are you?" The voice continued, ignoring his question. "The heart is a beacon. Its activation will awaken forces beyond your comprehension. Are you prepared to face what lies ahead?" Elias hesitated, then nodded. "If it's the only way to stop the Voidwalkers, I'll face whatever it takes." The pedestal began to glow, and the orb floated into the air. It fused with the sphere, the two artifacts merging into a single, pulsating entity. Suddenly, the chamber shook violently, and alarms blared throughout the construct. "Elias, something's happening," Lyra shouted. "No kidding," Elias yelled, grabbing the sphere and sprinting back toward the Odyssey. As the Odyssey blasted out of the construct, the entire structure began to shift. Panels of light rearranged themselves, and tendrils of energy extended outward, forming a massive, crystalline lattice around the construct. "What is that?" Elias asked, staring in disbelief. Lyra's hologram appeared, her expression grim. It's a signal. The construct is broadcasting something, across dimensions. Elias's stomach sank. You mean we just sent up a galactic flare? Before Lyra could respond, the ship's sensors lit up with proximity alerts. Ships were emerging from the void, Voidwalker vessels, sleek and deadly, their forms shimmering with dark energy. They're already here, Lyra said. They must have been monitoring the signal. Elias grinned, his hands tightening on the controls. Good, saves me the trouble of hunting them down. The Voidwalker fleet surged toward him, weapons blazing. Elias dove into the fray, the Odyssey's advanced systems keeping him one step ahead. The sphere pulsed in his hand, feeding data directly into the ship's systems and enhancing its capabilities. The battle was chaotic and brutal. Voidwalker ships swarmed the Odyssey, their weapons pounding against its shields. Elias maneuvered with precision, returning fire and taking out enemies one by one. But the odds were against him. Shields down to 42%, Lyra warned. We can't keep this up much longer. Elias gritted his teeth. Then it's time to level the playing field. He activated the sphere, channeling its energy through the ship's systems. A wave of light erupted from the Odyssey, disabling the Voidwalker ship's weapons and engines. They're vulnerable, Lyra shouted. Elias didn't hesitate. He unleashed a barrage of missiles, tearing through the crippled fleet. When the battle was over, the void was silent once more. The construct loomed in the distance, its signal still broadcasting. This isn't over, Elias said, staring at the glowing sphere in his hand. Whatever we just woke up, the Voidwalkers aren't the only ones who'll come looking for it. Lyra nodded. We need to figure out what this thing is, and fast. Elias set a course for the nearest star system, the sphere's glow filling the cockpit with an otherworldly light. To be continued. The Human Relic Hunter, a HFY Reddit story, Chapter 13. The quiet hum of the Odyssey filled the cockpit as Elias stared at the sphere in his hand. Since merging with the artifact from the construct, it had taken on a new appearance. Its surface shimmered with multicolored light, its patterns constantly shifting like a living star map. Lyra's hologram flickered into view, her expression serious. I've been analyzing the energy signature from the sphere since the battle. It's sending ripples across subspace, a signal that can be detected across galaxies. Elias leaned back in his chair, his jaw tightening. So, we're painting a massive target on our backs? More like you've lit a beacon that screams, here's the key to ultimate power. Every major faction in the galaxy will come looking for us. Great, Elias muttered, because the Voidwalkers weren't enough. The sphere's signal led them to an isolated star system on the edge of known space. The system was unremarkable at first glance, a dim star, a few barren planets, and a thick asteroid belt. But as the Odyssey approached, the sphere's glow intensified. There's something hidden here, Lyra said, her scans picking up faint energy readings. It's cloaked, but the sphere is reacting to it. Elias maneuvered the ship through the asteroid belt, following the sphere's guidance. As they passed through a particularly dense cluster of debris, a massive structure emerged from the shadows. It was a station, ancient and colossal, its design unlike anything Elias had ever seen. Its surface was covered in glyphs and intricate carvings, and a faint golden light emanated from within. This looks like Erindran architecture, Lyra said, her voice tinged with awe, but different, older. Older than the Erindrans? Elias asked. I didn't think that was possible. Neither did I, Lyra replied, but the energy readings suggest this predates them by millennia. The sphere pulsed, guiding Elias toward a docking bay. The interior of the station was hauntingly beautiful. The walls were made of a crystalline material that seemed to shift and shimmer as Elias moved. The air was filled with a soft hum, and the glyphs lining the walls glowed faintly. This place is alive, Lyra said, not in the same way as the construct. It's aware. Elias tightened his grip on the sphere. Let's hope it's friendly. The sphere led him to a massive chamber at the heart of the station. At its center was a dais, surrounded by floating crystals that emitted a soothing, melodic hum. As Elias approached, the sphere began to resonate, its light synchronizing with the crystals. Suddenly, a holographic figure appeared above the dais. It was humanoid, its form composed of shifting light and energy, Its features were indistinct, but its presence was commanding. "Bearer of the heart," the figure said, its voice echoing in Elias's mind, "you have awakened the Nexus of eternity, speak your purpose." Elias hesitated. "I'm trying to stop the Voidwalkers from consuming everything. The sphere brought me here." The figure studied him for a moment before responding. "The Voidwalkers are but a symptom of a greater imbalance. The Abyss is not merely their domain, it is a force of entropy, seeking to unmake all that exists." Elias frowned. "And the sphere, the heart, what's their role in all this?" "They are the last remnants of a civilization that sought to contain the Abyss," the figure explained. "The heart of eternity is a key, a conduit to the source. With it, you may restore balance, or tip the scales further into chaos." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. "And what happens if I fail?" The figure's light dimmed slightly. "Failure is not an option. The Voidwalkers will come for you, others will seek the heart for their own ends. You must decide whom to trust and how to wield the power now in your hands." As the hologram faded, the chamber trembled, the crystals around the dais emitted a burst of energy, and the station's glyphs glowed brightly. Lyra's voice crackled over the comm. "Elias, we've got incoming. A fleet of unknown ships just appeared on the sensors." Elias cursed, sprinting back toward the Odyssey. "Let me guess, they don't look friendly?" "They're definitely not here for tea," Lyra replied. Elias boarded the ship just as the docking bay began to rumble, the engines roared to life, and the Odyssey launched into space. Outside, a fleet of sleek, angular ships surrounded the station. Their design was unlike the Voidwalkers. These were precise and elegant, with a cold, metallic sheen. "Who are they?" Elias asked, scanning the fleet. "No idea," Lyra said, "but they're targeting us." The lead ship fired, and the Odyssey shuddered under the impact. Elias spun the ship into an evasive maneuver, returning fire with the ship's plasma cannons. "These guys are good," Elias muttered, "too good." The sphere pulsed in his hand, and a burst of light erupted from the Odyssey. The hostile ships hesitated, their movements disrupted as the sphere's energy interfered with their systems. "Whatever that was, do it again," Lyra shouted. Elias focused, channeling the sphere's energy into a directed pulse. The wave of light disabled several ships, giving him a chance to break through the blockade. As the Odyssey escaped into hyperspace, Elias slumped back in his seat, breathing heavily. "That was close," Lyra said, "but this isn't over. Whoever they were, they'll be back, and so will the Voidwalkers." Elias nodded, staring at the sphere. "Then we'd better be ready." The sphere pulsed, projecting a new set of coordinates. Elias sighed. "Another wild goose chase?" Lyra smiled faintly. "Let's just hope it leads to answers." The ship's engines roared, and the Odyssey vanished into the stars. To be continued.